Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gonzo Ewok channel with me, Ewok.
And me, Gonzo.
For another episode of
Geordie Space Program!
Should we do the confession?
Yeah, it's probably as good a time as any.
Okay, this is actually part 2 of a video that you will never truly see part 1 of.
Yeah.
We've got a mission underway, a manned mission to Juna.
Yep, can you explain the purposes behind that mission?
The purposes behind the mission is that we have Geordie Lab Mark II orbiting Kerbal, and it's researching really slowly because we don't have a trained scientist.
Yeah.
So the plan was we're going to do a manned mission to Juna with 3 crew members on board, a pilot, an engineer and a scientist, so that we can get loads of experience for them so they come back quite high level.
Yeah. Grab hopefully a lot of science in the process.
And hopefully a lot of science in the process.
And it's a milestone for us because that makes it the first manned mission we've sent Interplanetary as well.
Unfortunately, in part 1 of the video, we both cocked up.
Yep.
You first, Gonzo. What did you do?
Well, I had to do something for work where I had to record basically a YouTube video, nothing particularly exciting. It was literally just a commentary over a presentation that I had to deliver. So it could be played in various locations at the same time. To make that easier, when I was recording the audio for my video, I rebound the control key to start and stop the recording. And then we've come to record tonight and haven't realised that.
So we've got, in fact, about 10 different videos of varying lengths,
all cutting in and out. You've probably, if you haven't seen them already, I think we're putting
I'll put it on after we do the explanation.
Yeah, some sort of little montage of what we've been doing for the last 40 minutes or so.
And my confession is that even if you hadn't done that, I'd never turned the mic on.
Yeah.
So what you're going to see now is the first part of that mission, based on the kind of stuff that we have available to us in the videos.
It's fair to say that we managed to get everything working all right.
And we got an intercept with Juna.
Yeah, we've got that set up with a little bit of a flyby past Ike, so we can get a bit more science there, a bit more experience for the guys. The other thing is that we had a bit of an issue where we blocked the crew hatches.
So we couldn't get the scientist out, so we had to jump Jeb out and then move people around inside the ship and then jump the scientist out and then move Jeb back in. So Jeb's not actually piloting the ship
now. No, the scientist is now the pilot and Jeb is just watching.
Stuck in the crew compartment. But you will see all of this in this little clippy clip now. And now it's over.
That was pretty good.
It was pretty good. And now it's over. So we will now take you to the Pioneer 1.
It's a nice little craft, this. It was built on the existing Geordie Lab launcher that we've had.
Yep, we have the Geordie Lab launcher, but then, we've got the new Mark 1 cockpit and the new Mark 1 crew container.
We should explain we're playing now after the 1.0.5 update, so we've got new parts. Water apparently isn't as deadly. We've also got a little nav ball there, as you can see, when we're EVA.
Little nav ball for the Kerbal, aye.
So, doing very canny. So this is, I forget her name.
Me too. But
this is no-name scientist who, hopefully, providing she survives, will come back very experienced, and then we'll learn her name. As you can see, she's hopping out and collecting all the little bits of science.
Yeah, we've been gathering science along the way. The plan is we're going to get an Ike flyby.
Guys, you'll be so pleased. My job was to remind Ewok when we needed science, and for the most part, I've remembered to do that as we've been going.
Goo canisters? You never remembered the goo canisters until now?
You didn't tell us I had to specify which science you needed. All you said was reminders to get science as we go along.
Fair enough.
Yeah. See, so if I say science, I mean all the science, not selective bits of science.
Noted. Her name's Grada or Grada. Oh, incidentally, there's a new cockpit view inside this. Now, none of it's
This
functional. What I find interesting is that's his docking mode.
Yeah.
Now, we're not in docking mode. And when you switch between different modes, that computer doesn't change.
Right.
But is it a sign of things to come?
What you're thinking? I know that obviously with some of the a lot of simulator games that do have interactive cockpits. That bus simulator game I was playing, you remember, ages back, the
omnibus one, yeah.
Omni, I think it was called, was amazing fun. But that one had obviously it's a bus cockpit, but every button does something.
Yeah, I remember seeing you play it, and because all the controls were in German, you couldn't really understand. You pressed lots of buttons, and then the bus didn't work. Then you had to get a new bus.
Hey, I'll tell you what might be a good video. Believe it or not, that game has a massive modern community. People make their own cities, people make their own buses.
And there's drive around Newcastle.
There's a Newcastle mod with an old-fashioned Newcastle bus. You remember the yellow ones with the white roofs?
Mate, I hate driving around bloody town in my car. I would want to drive a bus around.
This is old Newcastle though. It's 1980s Newcastle.
Oh, okay.
I think just after the Haymarket, the main bus station opened. But it's old Newcastle and some of the surrounding estates. It's not photorealistic, or it's not perfectly planned out, but it gives a good impression of the city. Certainly playing it, I remember it brought back memories of me going on shopping trips with my mum and dad into town when I was a little kid. And you're driving the really old school yellow and white white buses that they used to have around Newcastle.
We're at Juna, by the way.
We're actually at Juna. Oh, that was quick.
Where is that? Well, we already had the intercept lined up from the last video. It's around there somewhere.
Oh, nope. That's that. No, it's a sun.
Hang on. Have I got it set as target? If I set it as target, I'm putting the ship in it.
And then look down the nose. Right. Oh yeah. Go.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. There it is. Right. What do I need to do, Gonzo?
Science.
Yes. Well done.
The thing that we should point out is this is a craft that Ewok has been developing. Unfortunately, at time of recording, Fallout hasn't been out very long.
Yeah, so I kind of left it till the last minute to do any sort of experimentation with it.
Yeah.
Which means I did a little bit of a test, but I never got back from Juna. I got to Juna. So once we're in orbit, we're now at the point where my knowledge of how things are going to go ends.
Yeah, which has got us somewhat worried.
I'm a bit worried at the fact that the craft's like wobbling. Even though there's no reason it should be.
It's because a scientist is flying it. I keep telling you.
I'm just transmitting that crew report because we can't store more than one crew report.
But yeah, so we've both been playing quite a bit of Fallout. Unfortunately, we have talked about Fallout to death. Most of the conversation in that last missing episode was about our thoughts of Fallout. Needless to say, I've put in 8 or 9 hours. You've put in closer to 20 because you've been taking a couple of days off work to play it. We both really, really like it. It's really good.
I'm obsessed with building buildings and settlements.
Yeah.
I spend more time doing that than I do playing the game.
You mentioned as well you're doing that to the point where your house is a bit of a shit tip, yet instead of tidying your real life house, you're busy making a very neat and tidy house in Fallout.
Absolutely.
You have a thing about physics as well.
I do, yeah. I've seen some people build some like amazing things, but you look at them and you go, "Oh, that would never hold up in a million years." So I make a point to put in support struts for everything I'm building and make sure that it looks like it would hold in real life.
Yeah.
Which takes me a lot of time, even though it actually serves no purpose.
The other thing that we should point out, actually on a related note, just because it is worth pointing out, and I'd be curious as to see if anybody else done that. We mentioned that in Bethesda games, you know, that sometimes they have interesting little physical kind of physics glitches going on. We both mentioned that in certainly in Oblivion, it didn't happen in Skyrim. Skyrim, you could do it automatically, but in Oblivion, if you wanted a bookshelf with your books on, you had to physically pick them up one at a time and manipulate them onto your shelf.
And the controls were terrible for doing it, so it took bloody ages.
Yeah, one button, you had to try and grab it at the right place. And I'd be curious, like you can do in like Fallout, you can do it in 3, you can do it in New Vegas, you can do it in Skyrim. You hold down a button, you can like pick up like a body, or you can pick up like a piece of furniture or something and move it. And of course in Oblivion you could do that, but there was a weird physics glitch where if sometimes books would kind of touch off each other in a kind of funny way, and then explode from your shelf and fly across the room. So you'd be like putting 15 books on your shelf, you'd get to book 16, and then they'd all hit the deck.
And then you'd have to start again.
And you'd have to start again. It was like running an actual library, only with exploding books. But
I've never been in a library with exploding books.
No, but you can imagine a librarian might spend quite a bit of their time putting books on shelves, and like you could do that in Oblivion for ages. You could be doing that like 45 minutes if you got like a particular series of books or something where they were all in volumes, and you'd want them all 1 to 10. You'd be putting them all on your shelf, and then you'd go to put the next one on. They'd all fly off. Then you've got to find out which one's which. Find volume 1, put it back on the shelf. You know, I used to get really lazy. I would just have lots of bookshelves. That's all I used to do. Just there'd be many bookshelves, and sometimes people would like, oh, I'll put a couple of books up here, and then I'll put like my favourite weapon on this shelf or something like that. I would just have 2 or 3 books on each shelf, and then like one of them would fall over. And you're like, well, it's lived in, isn't it? That's what a bookshelf looks like. A few books on it, some of them are falling over. Like a library now after government cuts. Less books on the shelves, bit messier.
You know what? I haven't been in a library in a long time. Last time I went to a library was the Oxford Centre in our hometown of Newcastle, strangely enough. And it was awful. I couldn't find a single book that I wanted to find there. It was really sad.
Oh.
I used to love going to the school library with my kids. I used to take out all the Discworld books. I remember I took out the John Milton book of poetry, and it hadn't been taken out in 10 years.
That'll happen. But yeah, I mean, it's I'm really enjoying that side of things, but I'm nowhere near as much into the game as you are, and I think the difference is you're using a controller, and because
I'm couch gaming. With
you've got like analog buttons to like rotate stuff you're trying to build, whereas I'm using like a mouse and keyboard, and to rotate stuff that you're building, it's just your left button and your right button on your mouse, and it just spins so quickly. The parts do snap on to some extent, but just makes it really awkward to try and do fine tuning. Like I was building a building, got about halfway through building it and like putting the structures down, and then I realised it was all on a wonk. My first bit had been like maybe a couple of degrees on a wonk, but then by the time you've put down another 4 or 5 pieces, it's like probably just veering off away from the street that I was trying to build it on.
You know what you need to do is use foundations. It took me a long time before I realised the foundations thing, because you can sink them into the ground,
right,
and then build yourself a nice flat surface. Like I was trying to put floor pieces down, and you're right, if you start on a wonky bit, then it just ends up floating in midair, and that's the kind of physics problems that I can't live with.
I was it's the sort of the first sort of opening time. We're being vague on purpose to avoid spoilers, because this video will go up at the time when people are still playing it or haven't played it yet, so don't want to kind of give the game away, so don't worry, we'll not spoil anything. But the first kind of place you come to when the game starts, some of the houses there, you can scrap them. You can scrap the entire house to get a lot of material, and it leaves a nice plot for you to build on, which is already raised up on a big concrete plinth. So that's where I've built my first house, but even then it looks stupid. It does stick over on one side, so that's impromptu became my veranda, because it just hangs off the side. So I was like, well, yeah, I mean, that's porch, innit? That's where you'd sit. Just admire the irradiated wasteland. But yeah, you showed us a Steam screenshot of what you've been building, and it looks lovely, building on a roof of an existing building.
Building on a roof of an existing building. Again, that's before I found out you could use foundations, and the ground around there was all wonky.
Yeah.
So I couldn't live with it. So I built a ladder going up to the roof of the existing building, and then put my house on top. I think I've already done most of these, but I'm redoing them because I definitely didn't do the goo.
You know what? At some point we could probably touch down on Ike and then go home again. We've never been to Ike. Don't think we've been on the surface, have we?
No, we haven't, but we're certainly not going to be able to do it here.
No, we're not doing it here.
I mean,
God forbid.
I don't know what the fuel situation is going to be like going home, but I wouldn't want to chance it.
I don't think we're going to have much fuel at all, frankly, by the time we're slowed down. Cool. Fix that science.
And back we go.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've never landed this thing on Kerbal, so that's going to be an interesting one when we come back.
So I'm just trying to think what else is going on. Oh yeah, also we noticed in the last episode, the one that you saw the montage of, we've been hitting milestones, which is a new thing in the game. So
in fact, look, it's still there.
Oh, there we are.
There we go, there's some more. Initiated the first flyby of Ike, escaped the gravitational influence of Juna. Well, I suppose we did, because we went into Ike's gravitational influence.
Yeah.
First scientific data from Ike. escape the gravitational influence on
So
it.
these are really nice, just things that kind of the game picks up on as you're playing, kind of like it did from one point on, where like, oh, you've beat like a height record or a speed record or something.
And then the other ones, they used to give you I presume these have replaced the old contracts that you used to get for them.
You don't get a contract saying get to 5,000 metres, it's just you launch something.
Yeah, but you used to get contracts like, oh, go to Juno or whatever, but this allows you to do it in your own pace and at your own order.
Yeah, you fly somewhere and it happens. Although, that being said, we still have got a lot of new contracts, and part of the new update is the sort of the dynamic contracts as well.
Which take into account where your space program's at. So we've got a space station, so we might get a contract saying...
Put a science module with X and Y and Z onto
your space station.
Aye. We're hoping we'll get one for Merg. I gave a shout out in the last one because we met up with some of the guys from the Indie Stone. We had Tukes from the Indie Stone community came up for a visit in Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. We met up with him and played some Cards Against Humanity with the guys, and it was a really good night. Really enjoyed it. And I was chatting with Ringo. He mentioned, and he said, "Oh, when are you going to save Merg? You've got to bring her back at some point." Ringo, you know, he watches my videos. He's one of my 3 really enthusiastic and loyal fans.
We will bring Merg back.
We will. For you, Ringo, it is going to happen.
It's all about getting Geordie Lab up and running at the moment.
It is.
And you would think to get Geordie Lab up and running, you wouldn't have to go to Juno, but
well,
you know.
I posed the question. We've currently got a contract that says Rescue Deathby Kerbal, which I do like his name. He deserves rescuing just because he sounds like he would be like a really good metal singer. And the world can't have enough of those, so we should bring him back. But I'm hoping maybe we'll get like a little sort of dynamic contract. I'm not sure if it'll take into account that like the game will work out and say, oh, well, you've had Merg flying around by herself for 5 years. Might want to think about bringing her back home. Be great if we got one, just like Merg's complaining that her spacesuit is full of feces and she hasn't eaten for 5 years. So
it must have been about 5 years.
Yeah, ran out of oxygen like in 2012.
Luckily, Kerbals can hold their breath for a long time.
Any chance you can send a taxi, I'm having a shocker.
Like tardigrades, Kerbal can survive in space.
Good old tardigrades. If you don't know what tardigrades are, go and look them up.
Look them up, they're awesome.
They're terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Well, there is the theory that they may have come to this planet on an asteroid from another planet.
Yeah.
Because they can survive in conditions that don't exist in this planet. So why would they have that sort of...
Did you see there's been an announcement? It's Ridley Scott's making Prometheus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know how Prometheus, they're going to be making like at least another couple of films about Prometheus. And he announced yesterday that in Prometheus, or the second part of the series, we're going to find out who invented aliens.
I thought that we'd already found out who invented aliens. I thought it was the elephant people.
Yeah, I think that's the that's the whole point. I think it's like finding out more about them and the rationale behind it and this, that, and the other. But I saw a great comment on Twitter where it just said like, "Oh, Ridley Scott says in the next film we'll find out who invented aliens," and just put up just put up a little thing underneath just saying, "So that'll be James Cameron." Then so that was brilliant. Who invented aliens? James Cameron. But I'll still probably go and see them. You know, I know like the first film got absolutely panned. I didn't think it was that bad.
I thought it was awful.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. It wasn't amazing, but Christ, let's be honest. First Alien, amazing, really good horror film. We can both agree on that. One of the best horror films of all time.
Okay, I agree with that.
Aliens, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
in some ways,
excellent
action film. Exactly. Now, so as a result, it's wrong to say one's better than the other. Personally, I prefer Aliens, but that's because I tend to prefer action films to horror films. Well, I do like a good horror film, and they're both amazing films, really, really good. Third one, well, I mean, it helps that most of it was filmed right next to our hometown. That softens the blow a little bit.
Now, you see, I don't mind it, but I have to admit, I have a wide tolerance for bad sci-fi. I mean, I like the Riddick movies, and they're awful.
Yeah, I think
so. You know, I like Alien 3. I know
it's all right. It's all right, but you know what? If I picked up like my box set of like the Alien trilogy, and I thought, you know what? I fancy some Xenomorph action tonight. What am I going to put on? I'd probably, depending on, it would definitely be one of the first two. It would be Alien or Aliens. If I wanted to be a little bit spooked, probably put Alien on.
We're in orbit, by the way, now.
I can see this is amazing. We're doing all right.
Hang on, let's rotate the ship, and let's get a cockpit view.
Ah,
and And what are the passengers seeing? V. There we go. Wrong window.
Oh,
some red.
You know what?
Hi, Jeff.
That's bigger than the plane I flew down to Cardiff for at the weekend. Oh, the viewers will not have heard any story.
Oh, that's a good story. I'll collect some signs and you can tell them what
Don't
happened.
build it up; they might think it's shit.
That's an average story. Where's my mouse? There we go.
Yes, it's a perfectly acceptable anecdote to fill in a couple of minutes. When Fallout 4 came out, unfortunately, I was down in Cardiff. I didn't get back till late on Tuesday night. There was a big conference I had to go to down in Cardiff from work, so I had to fly down from Newcastle to Cardiff. And because Cardiff's a fairly small airport and it's a fairly small route, work decided that we'll fly you down, but it was going to be on a small plane. Now there was 5 of us went down from work, and we were sitting in the departure lounge waiting to go, and one of the ladies that I was with was kind of looking at the plane we were going to be on, and it was sort of like one of these small jumbo jet things. It wasn't a jumbo jet; it's like a small plane, but it looks like a jumbo jet. And she was like, you know what, I don't mind flying, but I'm not keen on this idea of a small plane. I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. And I've flown on those kinds of planes before. I've flown on smaller prop planes that look a bit like a jumbo jet, and you can't really tell the difference. It does feel like you're just on a normal passenger airline when you're on them. And I was like, oh, don't worry, you'll not be able to tell the difference, man, it's fine. So sure enough, we all go to embark on the plane, and we get onto that little bus that you hop onto that takes you to your plane. So we drive past the plane that we've been looking at, go around the corner, and then travel for about 5 minutes around the far side of the airport, and then we'll hop off, and we've got one of these proper dinky tiny planes. There was 5 of us travelling down, and there was another 3 people from anywhere really who were on the same plane, and it was nearly half full with us on. It was absolutely tiny, to the point where when I was on it, I could stretch my arms out and I could touch both sides of the plane. Absolutely tiny. But the other thing is, on Sunday night, not sure what the weather would have been like for you guys, but in Newcastle it was absolutely horrible. We had really, really strong winds, it was stormy weather, and these little small planes, as it turns out, aren't the best things to be on when you've got gale force winds. So consequently, we get onto the plane, it takes off, and as you're going along on the runway, it's not like being on a jumbo jet. It makes it feel as though you're on gravel or a dirt track or something, you're bumping along. You can feel every little divot in the ground. So the plane starts taking off, and it flies up at quite a steep angle for about 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden it turns 45 degrees to the right and just drops, and we lose half the altitude. And honestly, I kid you not, I thought I was going to die. I was convinced that was it. It's this is how it ends, basically. I was pissed off because they said you've got to turn your phone off, so I turned the phone off, and I was like, I don't even have time to turn my phone on to say bye to my wife here. This is shit. Properly going to die here.
That's just as well you didn't, because then you would have told you were going to die, and then you wouldn't have died, and then you'd have been in the real shit, been in a real doghouse.
Yeah, this is true. Hopefully she would have been happy at the fact that I didn't die. That might offset the balance a little bit from scaring the shit out of her. But yeah, she told us after I got back on the Tuesday night. She was like, yeah, because I'd spoke to her after I'd getting into Cardiff. I was telling her all this, and yeah, she wasn't particularly happy with us.
It sounds like a pretty shit experience. It sounds like the kind of stuff that our crew in Geordie Space Program go through every single.
Yeah, they have to put up with it. Apart from they actually tend to actually die.
That's this part of the mission done.
Nice.
We went past Ike. We got high over Juna. We're now in low orbit around Juna. We've got fucking loads of science. It's looking well tight. I think it's time to wrap it up and come back next week for what will hopefully be the triumphant return home, but is definitely venturing into uncharted territory because we never got this far in the simulator.
Fantastic. Okay then. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, you can like the video. You can also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're also on Twitter, we're on Facebook. Search for Gonzo Ewok and you'll find us. And we shall catch you in the next one. Oh, and apologies for the bit of a hash little montage bit you had to put up with at the start of the video. Thank you.
I'll be making that. That'll be good.
No, I'm not saying the montage will be shit. I'm saying that the fact that it needs to exist in the first place is a bit of a shit deal for the viewers, isn't it?
Okay.
It's the whole video they missed out on there.
Fair enough.
Bye-bye.
Bye.